One of the issues that people are dealing with when they're trying to find jobs right now has to do with the fact that, to leave one job that you're currently in, you may not enjoy, to go to another one. The chances of you being able to get a raise are actually a lot less than they have been over the last, let's say, 3 or 4 years. To now, where like wage growth doesn't really exist, and along with the layoffs and everything else, if you are a job seeker, it's very challenging to find something that is, again, to find a job, period. We've talked about that at length on the show here, but it's also, if you are, looking possibly to find another job, like you're working and you want, it's just a challenge right now. And then on the business side, which is what we're going to be looking at here, we've got a report in from Paychex that is going to look at the overall wage lack of growth that's happening in the small business world, basically under 50 employees, and what effects that is having on businesses, on their ability to hire. What tends to happen is what's good for the business is not so good for the employees, and vice versa. When it's good for the employees, it's not so good for the business, just from a dollar for dollar side of this. And one of the issues we're going to be running into, you're going to see this here, is that as the wages come down, it actually has an effect that is now hiring might get easier. It's really weird to look at it that way. So anyways, we're going to take a look at this here. Again, I apologize for my voice here. I'm losing my voice a little bit. I woke up with this whatever's going around, and I'm working through it. So again, for those that don't know, my name is Ryan Howe. I'm a business coach who works out of West Michigan, around the country, and I come here live on YouTube pretty consistently. I've been off for the last few weeks. I've been working on a new project that I'm hoping to close, be able to say yes to, and fill you all in on it. It's pretty exciting. It's a project here in West Michigan, so I'm pretty excited about that. So again, I hope to earn your subscription. So let's get into it here. Now, links as always are going to be in the description. Be sure to go check that out. Hourly wage growth among U.S. small business workers near 5-year low. Man, it's an awful lot to say that the raises don't exist, and TLDR, the reason that raises don't exist, there's a couple of them where they're not being able to put those out. There's one, the supply of available talent is huge, so there's no reason to raise wages because there's plenty of people, right, technically, to find there. 2, margins are down across the board, so they don't have as much money to put out for wage, basically for raises at this point too. All right, so this is kind of where it's at there. And then honestly, until somebody starts raising wages, no one's going to raise wages. That's the way it typically goes. So I went and pulled the actual report here to kind of give you a better idea here what this looks like. So when you see, you want to see this number, like you see, or it's 99, right? So 100 means no job change in the number of jobs at all, period, right? As far as number of jobs, this index. When it's below 100, it means you're losing jobs, and when it's above 100, right, jobs are increasing. And you can see here, obviously through COVID, we dropped down to like negative 5,000, and then when we rebounded, a billion jobs, right? And we've seen the slow tick off here, specifically with the layoffs, to the point now we are hovering around that 100 to 99. So where there's stagnation in the job, and that's what they're really highlighting here as well. Okay, so that's kind of that piece here. And then they get into here, this other spot, which we're going to look at the overall look here. When it comes to the hourly, or this is the hourly earnings, there's a 12-month growth. But when we look at it, it's a lot flatter than that. To be honest, it's closer to 1%, which isn't even keeping up with any sort of inflation. All right, so let's look at this here. According to the Paychex Small Business Employment Watch for August, job growth among U.S. small businesses with fewer than 50 employees remained flat. Now, again, I can speak to that for my clients. We are only replacing, and even then, we are also not replacing some jobs. People leave, we're just not replacing them. So that is pretty standard, is what we're seeing in my world, and also with the folks that I talk with that are in my industry. While national hourly earnings growth for workers reached its lowest level since December 2020 at 2.58%, continuing to trend below 3% for the 10th consecutive month. Small Business Job Index, again, primarily Small Business Employment Watch report, measures the pace of job growth nationwide using payroll data from Paychex small business customers. 99.83, like we were saying, that it means it's basically flat. There's been a little bit as far as jobs rolling off, but it's just been flat. Now, the latest employment data once again underscores the stability and resilience of the small business labor market. I wouldn't necessarily call it that. What I would say is that there's no growth in sight for a lot of small businesses, so they're not looking to expand, right? And they're just hunkering down because they don't know what tariffs are going to look like. They don't have no idea if what's going to be happening in. And President Trump just said, "Hey, we want to make housing a national emergency." What is that going to do to commodities? Like, nobody knows. Like, so they can't make decisions. So instead of going into growth mode or, you know, and expanding, people are just hunkering down and surviving, right? And that's really where we're at. And I would say that there's many businesses, we're seeing a lot of bankruptcies starting to tick up, that we're going to see hunkering down means you're going to be closing up doors to, which is only going to exacerbate the wage situation, right? More people in the job market, right? There's less need to raise wages up because there's always someone that'll take the wage you're putting out there. All right, so let's look at some of the particulars, and then we're gonna circle back around here to, man, I'm sorry, I didn't mean you circle back. Ugh, sorry. Technically, I'm a consultant, but man, do I hate using that language. Once we get through this last bit here, we're gonna come back, there we go, and talking about really what I'm doing and what I recommend for my clients right now, and what I'd recommend for any small business owners, but also for folks who are looking to get hired right now. There is a trick that I've had many of the folks that I've worked with in the day, that as far as getting the wage they want. All right. So we'll talk about that as well. Again, though modest, the National Jobs Index has reported consecutive month-over-month gains for the first time since 2023. The Midwest has led all regions in small business employment for the past 15 months. It's interesting, right? Texas is up. And then here's the biggest thing. This is always this time of year, though. Education and health services, the strongest sector across all 4 regions in August. Has led all, again, they've led for a while here. Now, health services for reasons, right? Boomers are aging up. Again, links are in the description. Be sure to go check that out. So medical is going to be a thing, right? Boomers are aging up. Got to get those folks in there. But this time of year is also just for education services because people are going back to school, right? So there's a lot of, I'm on the school board for my local school here, and we approved hiring a couple folks in the August meeting. It's just what happens during that time frame, July and August. Okay. All right. So let's start off with employees. What can you do here? All right. You're seeing wages are stagnant. There's a couple things. One, if at your current place of employment, go ask for a raise, right? But make sure that you can back it up with the work that you've been doing, and, put that in front of your boss saying, hey, here's the things I've been doing. Here's exactly how I've been achieving at a high level. Then hey, I need a raise. Go ask for that raise. The other side of that too is if you are getting hired into a place, I recommend to all of my employers that you be willing to have a conversation with somebody 120 days in, right? 4 months after they start. If they are performing at a high level and they are not causing you additional pain, training pain, attendance pain, just all the things, personality pain that you deal with as an employer, be willing to throw some more money at them. And that would be my recommendation. If you're going into a job that you aren't necessarily, hey, you take the wage you can get to get in there and be ready to do the work. I promise you, if you're performing at a high level, folks will pay you more money. I can just promise you that, because it's what we do. And again, with my clients and the customers that I work with. All right. Now for business owners, here's the big deal. Someone's going to go first with raising their wages. That's what's going to happen. And whoever goes first is going to have their pick of the top talent. So my recommendation, again, for my clients, we have a few that are starting to hit that cycle where growth is inevitable. They're going to have to get out in front of it. They're going to be looking to hire. And with that, I've told them, let's level set everybody, your current staff's wages, get them right sized. And then for folks coming in, let's go and get those pay raises out to them, see what we can get. And so far on the 2 that we've done this with, I'm trying to remember, it's 2. We just did the second one last week. Not just the quantity of qualified applicants, the quality of the qualified applicants has gone up, which means we have, and of those, there was, I say, in numbers off the top of my head here, say 30%, plus or minus whatever, but about 30% of those folks are currently employed at other businesses. So the raising the wages is getting talent to jump right now. And they're not like huge, these huge pay raises that we're putting out on these for these jobs. It's, it's modest. It's nothing huge, but it's enough to where it's getting people willing to at least put some feelers out there and put it in a resume and apply. So that's where I'm at with my clients. So here's the deal, folks. Wages are just atrocious right now. Like it is, as far as they're flat, because there's no compelling reason for employers to spend additional money, invest money, in capital expenditures to grow their business. There isn't really the risk profile out there is not there for a lot of businesses, but that's shifting. I can already kind of feel I hate to say feel, but you can see it in the way that some of the numbers are starting to show up, that we are at a breaking point that is now going to turn, and you are going to see in many industries green shoots and the opportunity for growth. So if that's the case, ladies and gentlemen, if you're a business owner, if you even get a hint of that, be willing to raise those wages up. One, to protect your folks, but two, it's going to help you get better talent. Okay. And the only way it's going to get better is if business owners start raising those wages. Okay. So with that, hopefully I earned your subscription today. Again, I come here live pretty regularly, just talking about business stuff. They're helping for small businesses as well, but also for employees also. Now, what I do for my business, I work with the value builder system, and I help businesses get ready to sell. That's really what I do for work. I come in and I use the value builder assessment. There's a link down in the description. You want to go check it out. It takes about 15 minutes to fill out. And once you fill that out, we're going to have the 8 core areas, 8 core areas that if you get these things right in your business, you are not only going to be able to, your business is going to perform at a high level, it's going to sell for many multiples when we find the right buyer. Okay. So again, link is in the description for that value builder. Be sure to check it out. I appreciate everybody hanging out today. And hopefully I'm going to have some good news here to share about why the heck Ryan disappeared for 3 weeks later this week. Okay. Take care, and I'll see you next time.